Hi, everyone. I am Jen with Visible Body. I am a customer engagement specialist. So my job with Visible Body is to work with instructors and show you how to get the most out of our programs and integrate them most effectively with your classes. With me today is Desiree, and she is one of our fantastic sales reps. Between the two of us, we should be able to answer all of your Visible Body questions and take care of any needs you may have. Today, we're going to be looking at Visible Body Suite, which is our flagship program. It's our super cool 3D interactive models, and hopefully you'll leave with some new tricks and skills to put to use. As I said a moment ago, please feel free to use the chat to ask questions at any time. We're here to work for you. So without further ado, I will share my screen. All right, can you see my screen, Desiree?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So here we are in the landing page for Visible Body Suite. And some of you, if you are experienced users, might notice a new name change. So this is the program formerly known as Human Anatomy Atlas. We've gone through a little bit of rebranding, but all of the functionality and content is the same. So the first thing you'll notice here is that we have our screen laid out with tabs and sub-tabs. So when you come into Visible Body Suite, you will always come into the Views tab, and you're generally oriented to the Systems view. And then you can scroll down on the side here to get through all the different systems. And then within each system, you can also scroll over to see all the different preset views that we have. You can tell that we're in the systems view because it's highlighted in blue. And then we also have regions view, gross anatomy lab, which is very much like a cadaver lab with a prone or a supine model. We have cross sections, micro anatomy views, muscle actions, the muscle index, fascial compartments, and muscle and bone pathologies. We're going to stay in systems for now. We also have across the top, we have kind of different major tabs. So images, these are all pulled from some of our other programs, and these are just two-dimensional images, but still have text for learning associated with them. Media, you'll find are narrated animations or videos. These are kind of broken down into patient education and advanced animations. You can think of patient education as kind of like intro, very general overview, whereas advanced animations takes a deeper dive into physiology and pathologies. And then we also have specific animations for musculoskeletal pathologies. Study is where you can find flashcards. If you already have some that you've made, you can get them by using Get Our Pre-Made Decks. Quizzes, these are practice quizzes, and both instructors and students have access to this, so students could just use this as a quick study tool. And views that correspond with our pre-made lab activities, which you can get right here with this Get PDFs. And then My Library. My Library is the area where you will have all of your favorite views saved. You can show views, you can show tours, you can show it all together. So let's go back to views. So there's quite a bit of content found and housed within this program, and it can be a little bit overwhelming if you don't know how to find what it is that you need. So my first suggestion to all of you is to find the search bar in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. This is our content search. So this is kind of like your Google search just for our whole program. So we could start typing in, maybe I'll do respiratory. And we can see that this is already starting to populate, and we can click on any one of these labels here. This is telling us that this is a model. This is a microanatomy model. This is going to our views here, so we can launch directly to any of these views. You can scroll down. We've got a flashcard deck that's identified as the respiratory system. I have some favorite views, tours, videos and animations, quizzes. So this is the easiest way to search for the content that you're looking for. And if it's not popping up quite right, try using a different term or keyword. So that's the easiest way to find what you need. Questions so far?
Don't see any in the chat.
Nothing in the chat. Awesome. Okay, so let's jump into our models. So first things first, the basics here would be just your general manipulation of your model. I'm using a regular mouse, but you can use a trackpad or a touch screen as well to manipulate the model. If you don't like using your touch screen or your trackpad, we have this virtual joystick in the bottom right corner of the screen. This little circle in the middle rotates your model in all directions. If you get kind of lost and you can't get yourself back there, you can always just use your refresh or reset button, and that resets your model to the original position. The arrows reposition your model up, down, left, and right. And then you have your zoom bar, which can zoom in and out. So that's your basic controls there. If you're using a mouse, just a single click and drag will rotate your model. Right click and drag will reposition your model. And using your scroll wheel will zoom in or out. Okay. From here, you can click on any structure. And when you click on a structure, you're going to notice that this pop-up box comes up. And if you're using this with your students, obviously you want them to know how to pull out content and learn about these structures instead of just identifying them. So when they select a structure, we've got these series of icons over here that will help your students pull out information about the structures. Here we've got the definition icon. So this gives us some text about that structure. Then we've got pathologies. You can click on any of these and you'll get a little blurb about that disease or disorder. Pronunciation.
Humorous.
And then we've got this colorful tab right here, or icon right here. This is our details icon. And this might look different depending on which body system the structure is part of. But for looking at bones, bony landmarks are important. So we're looking at the details of this bone, and now we can select individual bony landmarks instead of just looking at the bone as a whole. And again, we can learn about those structures. We can hear pronunciations.
Lesser tubercle.
You also have the option here. We've got another details feature, is to look at where we have points of attachment for muscles. And each of these pins is active for students to interact with. You can click on the pin and you can add in a muscle. So you can see how that muscle attaches to the bone and where it attaches to the bone. To get out of the details view, all you have to do is use this back arrow and you'll go back to your main view. Additionally, when you select a structure, you'll also be shown some related content. So maybe you're studying the bone, but you need to launch over to look at the anatomy of the osteon, or you want to see the anatomy of a long bone. So you can launch directly to different views that are associated with the structure you've selected. You can also isolate a structure or a group of structures. So we isolated the humerus here. We could zoom in. And we can see our humerus. There we go. Some other features that you can use to kind of customize your view here is you can use your settings tool. Your settings tool can allow you to change your color theme to make this more visually appealing. It's obviously a personal choice there. You can change the gender of the model. You can choose to have the reference body on or off. And then we've got a variety of other settings that you can adjust to your liking. So next, what we'll do is we'll take a look at some of the other tools that we have here to help you further explore a model or customize it to meet your own needs. Do we have anything in the chat?
We just had one question about adding multiple layers of muscles on at a time. I answered it, but I'm sure you'll get to that and dissecting at some point.
Yes. So we're going to take a look at that. That's actually kind of where I was going next before we dive into each of these tools down here. So what I'm going to do now is I want to guide you over to the systems tray. And this is a little hidden gem. A lot of people overlook this, but this can be your best friend, your favorite tool, if you're trying to customize and create very specific views. So here what we can do is we can add full systems to a view. And right now we can see that if we select any one of these system or structure icons, it's going to be added to the whole body. So if I click on the muscular icon, it's going to add all of the muscles of the body because I'm selecting to add it to all regions. Maybe I only want to focus on a few regions of the body or a single region of the body. So let's say maybe I just want to focus on the arm. And I only want to use one arm because I want to be able to compare the bony structure of one side to the muscular structure of the other. So now we've added in the muscles of the arm on one side while leaving it open on the other side for comparison. So now we're here, and now fascial compartments are an important component of the muscular system. And if you don't want to see them in there, this is kind of the first step in removing structures from your view or dissecting away. So you can select a structure and you can click hide, and that will remove that structure from your view. The other way you could do that is you can use your dissect tool. So when your tool is highlighted in blue, that means that it's on and active. And now any structure that I click will be removed. And then to get out of that, you just click on the tool again. You can also fade structures to see deeper structures, and I'll zoom in a little bit here. So maybe I want to see what lies under this. I can click fade, and it's going to make this muscle translucent so that as we move, we can kind of see through it to see what's underneath. So if we did this back here and fade it, it's not as, I guess, visually, it's not a great visual example there because you're just looking at bone, but here you can see through that and you can see into the ribs. Okay, so that's our systems tray. A little note on this systems tray is that it's going to be getting an update as of next week, and you are going to be able to peel away by muscle layer. So you could add, you'll have more control over where exactly you're adding muscles to. And when you add muscles, you'll be able to peel away layer by layer in kind of 4 different levels. So it'll make manipulating and looking at the muscles of the body much easier. Some other really interesting tools to note here in the muscular system is the details icon. So here's a good example of how the details icon varies from system to system. So now we're seeing the muscle with the associated bones based on where it attaches. And we can toggle from one attachment point to the other. So we can look from origin to insertion or insertion to origin. We can also launch from here to look at animations of this muscle in action. We can add in blood supply, nervous innervations, or take a look at all of it put together. So that is our systems tray. Any questions so far? Anything more in the chat?
No more in the chat.
Just like with the content search, we can search within a model. So we can use our anatomy search function down here. When you click on anatomy search, say you don't know exactly, maybe you're a student, you're trying to learn the different muscles and you can't find it. You're not quite sure where to look. Let's type in sternocleidomastoid. Maybe I'm not quite sure where to look for that. I can click show me. And now it'll highlight that muscle and direct me to it by zooming in on it. The other thing that you can do with the anatomy search tool, and I'm going to remove our muscles so you can get a better view here. So let's say I can add individual structures one at a time. Maybe I only want to focus on the intercostal muscles. I can add those specific ones one at a time to build out my model to be exactly the way I want it to be. Other tools or features to kind of look at. Let's focus down in this toolbar down here. The multi-select feature. This will allow you to select multiple structures at once. So maybe you're viewing the pectoral girdle and you want to show all of that together. We could now do our isolate, and now we can look at the bones of the pectoral girdle all in one. Okay. So now once you've got a custom view that you want to focus on, you can actually save this for quick reference or to share it directly with your students. And the way you do that would be to click Save View. And now I've saved this view. So I can either now go find that, or I can just move on and I can go back to where I was. But then I'll be able to reference that later and I can share that with my students later. Looks like something popped up in the chat.
Yes, I was just answering it, but the question was, is the show me function blocked when students are in a dissection quiz with the courseware open in more than one browser tab? And the answer to that is within the courseware quiz itself, there is no option to search for muscles and have them be able to, click on that show me button and highlight the muscle. There's no way to do that within the quiz. That whole feature, the dissection feature, besides the quick hide tool, is disabled. If you have the app open in a separate tab while you're running the quiz, that show me feature will just be on just as is, you can see here. So when you're quizzing, there's a few different ways you can do that to kind of help prevent the students from looking and searching, which is one of those things is timed quizzes. So they won't actually have the time to go and search for a quiz question answer while they are taking that quiz.
Yep. Another way is just kind of changing your phrasing of the question. So it's not as easy to just search for that structure. So when you have a custom view and you've saved it, I'm going to go back to all of my saved views here, my library, and I'm going to view these oldest to newest. And what I can do here is I could launch all of these. Actually, I'm in my tours. These are my individual views. All of these are views that I saved to be in my favorites so I could have quick, easy access to them. So any of these, I could just launch directly to this view. And then I can go back into my favorites. The other thing that you can do is you can create a tour, and a tour is a great way to put all the models you want your students to view for a certain assignment or activity or topic, put them all together and present them in a learning path that kind of makes sense. And that's what a tour is. So first I'll show you a tour, and then I'll show you how to make a tour. Here is a tour that I created for blood vessels. I did this one to show, I wanted this to be like a structure identification tour. So what I did was I put all of the structures that the students need to identify over here with some ideas of how to explore that. And now I put the model where they'll be able to find these specific structures right next to their list. So they can go through, they can learn about it. And another great tool for when you're looking at nerves and blood vessels, where you've got kind of a pathway that you might need to follow, is using this little caret arrow right here. When you click on this, it's going to show you where that structure falls within the entire system. So we can see that the subclavian artery on the right side is part of the right arm. So now if we select this, it's going to show us all the blood vessels of the right arm. And we can further go, we can go up and down through those different levels within the system. And now, once we've mastered all of these blood vessels, we're happy with that, we can move on to the next view just by simply clicking the arrows, and we can always go back and we can move through. So that's what you can do with a tour. And it's very simple to create one. All you have to do is go into your My Library, click to Tours, and then you would click Start. And then you're going to be presented with all of your specific views that you have saved. And now, let's say I'm introducing skeleton and different types of bones. So I might want to do this one first, and then long, and then flat, and then short and irregular. So I can put those all together, save it. And it will compile those all in that order. So now I'm going to view all these, newest to oldest. And there's my types of bones tour. So that's how you can create a tour from your own saved, customized views. And I realized that I forgot to mention the notepad. And I showed you a tour that had notes in it. And all you have to do is simply open the notepad, drag it to where you want, and you can type in there. And if you save a view that has an open notepad, the notepad will be saved in that view. And then if you share that with your students, they will be able to see that as well. Any questions so far? Anything you need me to explain a little further?
I don't see any in the chat. You're so clear. I don't think there's nobody has any questions.
All right, so the next thing that the next point that this brings us to is sharing the content that you've decided is most useful for you and your students. Some users have Courseware, which makes it really easy to share content with students, because anything that you create in Visible Body Suite, here, when you save it as a favorite, you can assign it to your students, and students can access it straight through Courseware. If you're not using Courseware, or if you've got students who are trying to share with other students, it's pretty simple to share your work here. All you have to do is click on this share button. Now you have two options. If you click download image, it's going to take a screenshot of your screen and save it to your computer. If we click share link, this will allow us to share our 3D model in the interactive capacity with other users. First way here is using the QR code, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in a moment, but if you have users with a mobile app, I've just opened my camera. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to scan my QR code, and it's going to launch my app. And it's going to launch this exact view. So we can see it right there. It's the same view that I had open. So that's a really cool way to be able to share your views either in class. Yep. And Desiree just got it right there too. It's a really cool way to be able to share. And then once you have it up on your screen, all you need to do is click save view. And now you can save it to your own library. So really easy way there. The other way is to use the share link. So here we've got our link. We can copy this link. And now from anywhere in Visible Body Suite, you'll search for this little share link icon. We'll click paste link here. We'll paste it, and it will launch that view. So note that when you are sharing with a share link, you can't simply just copy this link and put it in a browser because it won't launch Visible Body. You have to use this link within Visible Body. It's not a web link, it's a Visible Body Suite link. So it has to be opened within Visible Body Suite. Okay. The option here to download your QR code, when you download your QR code, it's going to download your QR code and the thumbnail image as an image file on your computer. And you can then embed that in an assignment document. You could print it out and put it next to one of your models in your lab or your class. And now students could scan that QR code with their mobile device and then launch right to a view where they can explore what they need to. So QR codes have been a great addition to our programs here. Any other questions on sharing? Okay. So with sharing, you can share right from your main screen here, within your view, or you can go to your library and you can use the 3 dots and you can share your tour, and you get those, you can share a tour, a view, flashcards, any of that right from here. So you can either do it from within the menu, in my library, or in study. Share. Or you can do it right from within the view. I think that's all I had in terms of kind of the basic quick deep dive into VB Suite and all that it has to offer. Questions, comments, thoughts, anything you want me to specifically explore to better your understanding?
Looks like one question just popped in. So if you put the flashcards or tours in my favorites, students will have access to it in their Visible Body.
Not in your favorites, because this is your account. If you are using Courseware, anything that is in your study tab or in your My Library would be assignable in Courseware. If you're not using Courseware and you're using our web suite or our VB Suite, you would need to use these share links and then post them somewhere for your students. Now, when you say share flashcards or a tour, the student is, or even just a view, the student is saving that to their own account, and they could then go in and make changes to their own copy. any changes they make to anything that they've saved or added to their account will not impact what you have created on your account, or how it's shared with other students, but they can make their own changes. I hope that answered your question.
That's pretty good.
I guess while I have y'all here, I'd love to direct you to the microanatomy because we've had some new content added here and there is more and more being built out to be added in here. Some of the newer content that we have added here is we have dark versus light skin pigmentation in the integumentary system and the curly hair follicles versus straight hair follicles. The anatomy of the osteon is a bit newer. These nervous system views, these are all fairly new, as well as our muscular system, broken down muscle view. So those are all some of our newer views.
We got one more question. I just put an answer in the chat, but for others. So the question was, can you get flashcards from Visible Body and put it for Visible Biology and put it into the this VB Suite here? And the answer to that is yes, you can have flashcards for Visible Biology, but they're not put here in VB Suite. They're kept in Visible Biology. So it's two separate things because you're doing two different types of models.
Correct. A little kind of insider scoop for you all is that the long-term plans here are to incorporate all of the Visible Biology content into VB Suite, so it'll be one-stop shopping. So at some point in the future, that will be the case where you can have it all in one place. But if you're using things from Visible Biology, go to say my library. You're only going to see your biology assets here. If you're using Courseware, you can share your assets from Visible Biology and from VB Suite all in Courseware. So within Courseware, you could share flashcards from Visible Biology. You could also share flashcards or tours or whatever from VB Suite.
Yes, and then the follow-up question was, with VB Suite, students have access to Visible Biology. So VB Suite and Visible Biology are right now, they're two separate databases, they're two separate apps, but through Courseware, you get access to both VB Suite and Visible Biology and all the other web and mobile apps that we have. So Courseware is your segue to all the content.
Yes. And the other note about Courseware is that you can use it to really organize the content that you want to share with your students, but you can also bypass the course management portion of it and just launch directly to the apps from there as well. So it's pretty easy and very versatile for however you want to use it. Let's take a look here with tours. So I showed you how to make your own tour, but we have a whole lot of pre-made content, which might make things a little easier for you because you can always modify. So I just clicked on Get Tours. And then here we've got our list of, we've got all of our tours, both for biology and anatomy and physiology. And I generally tell people that the best way to find exactly what you're looking for is to use the filters here, as opposed to trying to type in your topic here, because if this kind of narrows down your field a little bit too much. So let's say we are looking for just anatomy and we want nervous system. Here's all of our nervous system tours. So now what I can do is I can click open with. You could either click Courseware, VB Suite, or you can copy the link. By clicking either of these, it's going to relaunch the app. So I always say, if you've already got it open, just copy the link. And now, sorry, I had to move my menu bar. It was blocking my access. And now I'll go to share link. I'll paste it. And now I'm opening this tour right here so I can look at it. This has not automatically added it to my account. I'm just viewing it. If I want to save this in my account because I like it and I want to be able to use it with my students, I need to save the view. And then you can either choose just to save the single view within the tour, or you can save the whole tour. So I now saved this to my account. There it is. And now say I liked this as is, but maybe I don't want the tags there. I can take the tags off. I can add in some text here. And then what I could do is I can save the view. You can either save this as a new view, or you can just replace the view within the tour, and it'll just update the tour with your modifications. So it's really that simple to modify the existing tour. Looks like we got a couple more in the chat. All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. I will be happy to hang around if you have any specific questions that you want to ask. But I am at the end of my presentation for today. So thanks for joining us. And please reach out to either your sales rep or your customer engagement specialist if you ever need help, because we are here to help.
Awesome. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Jen.
I'm going to stop recording. I can find it. Oh, alrighty. Just don't want to cut anybody off. I've seen some stuff coming in the chat still, so.
Mhm.